Well, hey, the Labour Party are in a right tizzy. Word on the street now, they're on the brink of a split. Reporters over at ITV News have been whispering that a few of the shadow cabinet members might be handing in their notices, and all because Keir Starmer's handling of the Gaza-Israel conflict. And would you believe it? A whopping 23 Labour councillors have thrown in the towel, all thanks to Starmer's take on the whole debacle, the right one it has to be said. Even more, 72 have scribbled an open letter basically telling him that they've had enough of his leadership. So what's all this about as Sir Keir Starmer marches 20 points ahead of the Tories in the polls? You can trust Diane Abbott to be the first to pipe up, of course. She was defending that tube driver who thought it would be a laugh to chant "Free Palestine, Free Palestine." She defended him after he'd received a ticking off from Transport for London. He was suspended. Can you imagine the poor Jewish folk on that train? They must have been scared witless after we've seen weekend after weekend, and there's another one this weekend, of protests in favour of Palestine. So shame on Abbott, but that's to be expected. So what about the rest of the Labour Party? Are they genuinely alright with folks shouting about wanting to wipe out the only Jewish state off the map entirely? Or hollering for a jihad, jihad, jihad against Israel? All while our bobbies just stand there, holding on to these folks' Palestinian flags like they're at a seaside gift shop? I honestly half expected them to whip out a tray of biscuits and maybe hand out some teas and coffees for these opponents of Israel and proponents of what I would deem to be the worst vestiges of humanity. And remember, Hamas ain't just some rotten group from far away. They share exactly the same rotten beliefs as those 7/7 bombers who tore through London in 2005. We should be keeping a close eye on them, not just for Israel's sake, but for ours too. This is also our problem. Mass migration, isolated communities, it's our problem. And don't even get us started on this Hizb ut-Tahrir, this group, this Islamist group, banned in most places, but here, of course, they're free as birds, spewing their vile nonsense, their anti-Semitic, putrid nonsense. And where's Labour in all of this? Shouldn't they be leading the charge against such hate? Don't they stand for women, for gay people, for Western values? Apparently not, because many in the Labour Party, you see, are walking on eggshells. They're worried about upsetting certain voters, but let's not kid ourselves. This is the same party that backed Jeremy Corbyn, a bloke who's cozied up to some of the world's worst. Twice they actually wanted him as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Can you imagine if he was Prime Minister at this moment? He'd have Hamas over in number 10 for a cup of tea, talking about their next moves. Islamism is a backwards belief. No place in our modern world, if you ask me. Certainly not in Britain. If Labour are more worried about their own skins rather than our great nation, then why the hell should we trust them with the national interest? And speaking of reminders, just this week, they put up a shield in the House of Commons for Sir David Amess MP. He was taken from us by an Islamist. That's a stark reminder, if you ask me, that this isn't just Israel's fight, it's our fight. Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.